So let's invite our speaker, Dr. David L. Lindase. So hi, Dr. David, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. Thank you. I'm excited to be sharing this platform with you guys.
Thank you so much. So we are in Dubai. We are so excited, and today is Dubai International Day as well as, and we are organizing our WYN conferences in Dubai. Thank you so much. I'm so honored that you are being a part of this WYN conferences. So before you start your session, so we will play an introduction video of yours. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
my pleasure.
So if anybody has any questions for Dr. David, you can put it in the chat. So after his session, he will answer your questions. And so after this Dr. David session, we will have a half an hour of coffee break. You can have some refreshment. So let's have some coffee, and you can come back after half an hour. Okay. So Dr. David. Yes.
Has been obsessed with helping people, including himself, achieve peak performance in all areas of life. He has been an athlete, playing semi-professional rugby league, an arm wrestler and a fighter, as well as a coach for over 20 years. During this time, David has trained Olympians, international footballers, and CEOs all the way through to stay-at-home parents. Over this time, he saw patterns emerge that could continue to cross into the corporate world to increase businesses' vitality, which in turn will raise morale, productivity, and therefore profitability of the business. And that is what David is going to share with us today. His 5 steps towards improved vitality model.
So Dr. David, we will play the pre-recorded session of yours. Okay.
Yep, beautiful.
Thank you.
When's the last time you came to work and got punched in the face? As a former cage fighter, I'd get punched, I'd get kicked, and I'll get wrestled on a daily basis. And I mean the real type of wrestling, not this WWE sort of stuff. Yet I still came out of it looking this good. But in all seriousness, I learned many systems and strategies from my time in martial arts, both as an athlete and a coach. It can help anybody and therefore any team improve their vitality. Now, what comes to mind when I mention the word vitality? What about vim, vigor, passion for what you do? Vitality actually comes from the Latin word vitalis, meaning of or belonging to life. Let's have a look at your vital signs. You have your pulse rate, your respiratory and breathing, and you have your blood pressure. If you don't have these, you perceive as being dead, or at the very least a very bad way. So if your vitality is low or non-existent, well, who you got up this morning, jumping out of bed, ready to take on the day? Or did you maybe hit the snooze button, have to drag yourself out of bed, maybe, I don't know, need a cup of coffee to get yourself snapping into action? Do you or someone you know that you're supposed to start work at 9 o'clock? Yes, you may get there at 9, but you fluff around for 10, 15, or 20 minutes before you snap into action. Because I know this one really annoys me. Or do you have a project or department that just isn't going according to plan and are just a little unsure of what to do? That's a few examples of where vitality may be lowered. I'm David Lindsay. I've been a full-time coach and trainer for over 20 years, and I'm a vitality expert. And I'll put together a simple 5-step system to raise your vitality. There are many similarities between a sports team and a business team. And that is how I want you to look at it. You guys, as leaders, as bosses, supervisors, managers, you're the coach and trainer of your team. Your employees, they are the players. Every single successful sporting team and individual knows the importance of creating rituals, getting themselves snapping into action. There's the most successful international sporting team in history. They also have the most famous ritual of all. It's known in America, Asia, right here in Australia, and I even bet in Dubai as well. What about Rafael Nadal, who does his bounce, 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 underpick, hair behind the ear, and serve? Not even bet my bottom dollar, there's nothing wrong with his undies. This is just his ritual. And do we have any golfers out here? If you are a golfer, or if you've even watched the game golf, I want you to think about, what do the top line golfers do before each and every shot? Whether it's a long drive or a short putt. They stand behind and they visualize it. Do they want it to be a draw or a fade, to go high or go low? They then do their practice swing and hopefully it goes off just as they visualized it. And we all know who this is. This is Ronda Rousey. She was the first ever women's UFC champion, at one point the highest paid athlete, male or female, on the UFC roster. So yes, at the moment I'm talking about Ronda Rousey, but I could be talking about Conor McGregor, John Jones, or Khabib, or in fact any fighters. We need the easiest, the simplest way to change our state, to get us snapping into action. And I want you to think how that may be. When every fighter comes to the cage or they come to the ring, they come out to their own theme song. They utilize the power of music. Music is a great mood alterer. It can help pump you up if you're feeling a bit flat, or it can help calm you down if you're feeling a bit anxious. Back when I used to fight, I'd come out to Wolf Mother, Joker, and the Thief. The way that you feel, therefore the way that you act. So if you sit slumpy, you're going to feel slumpy. Yet if you sit tall and proud and powerful, things are going to follow suit. And there's actually a technique called the Superman pose. And this is because you stand like Superman. You stand powerful. And I've been lucky enough to do this talk quite a few times. And especially early on, my daughter should be sitting up the back. And like every great kid, they give you honest feedback. And she'd go, Dad, you know what? I loved it. I really did. But that's good for the guys. What about the girls? What about for the ladies out there? As it says, holding that pose for as little as 2 minutes can help raise your testosterone while lowering your cortisol. It gets you into that alpha mindset. And what's better than Superman there? But my daughter doing her own on 2 stops after this guy. He's only a little fella, but he walks on like he owns a train. And it's funny how people move accordance with that person. And here's a few more examples of how you can take up space. Well, but a few more examples, just taking up space, standing powerful. Remember that emotion is led by motion. You combine the power of music and the power of posture, it becomes a superpower. So and walk with power, passion, and purpose. Have that strong posture, have that strong stride, and see how you feel when you get to work. It's going to be a world of difference. No, I get asked all the time, David, how are you so happy? I get to change people's lives, and I love doing what I do. But it wasn't always that way. There was a time many years ago when I had no goals, I had no dreams, I had nothing to strive for. Exhausted. I was going to work exhausted. I was coming home and I was a wreck. I just seemed to be on that hamster wheel, doing my best, but getting nowhere. In fact, it felt like I was moving backwards. And it got to the point where I thought, talk, positive affirmations kept coming up. And at first I thought, what a load of rubbish, talking to yourself. What's that going to do? Then I had a look at my life and I went, I'm currently going nowhere. I'm doing nothing. What do I have to lose? Overnight, or within a week, or even 2 weeks. But 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 month, 2 months change. Now it wasn't physical because, hey, that was always a bit of all right. But mentally and emotionally, I started to see some change and I went, you know what? This stuff has some power. Imagine if I was put my own words to it. So I did. And I'd get up in the mornings and I'd get a power pose. And I'd say, today is going to be a great day. Any challenge coming my way, I can and will overcome it. Today is going to be a great day. Today you look and feel great. Then you smile. You appreciate the person that's smiling back at you. You do it for them. That's the only person that you have to impress, the person looking back at you in the mirror. Now, I told a few people at the gym this, and one of them came back to me a few weeks later and said, David, that's just not working. I've been doing it, but I haven't seen any change. So I took him around and I sat down and I said, show me exactly how you do it. He went, today is going to be a great day. Any challenge coming my way, I can and will overcome it. Today is going to be a great day. Today you look and feel great. Boom. Right terminology, but wrong physiology. You're saying it at home, for goodness sake. So when you say it, you must see it, mean it, believe it, and then you become it. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through that twice. And don't worry too much if you can't remember it, because here it is. On the count of 3, and I want to hear the power. I want to hear it all the way from Sydney, Australia. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Today is going to be a great day. Any challenge coming my way, I can and will overcome it. Today is going to be a great day. Today, you look and feel great. One more time. Today is going to be a great day. Any challenge coming my way, I can and will overcome it. Today is going to be a great day. Today, you look and feel great. And then smile. Remember, as I said, the only person that you have to impress is a man, woman, person looking back at you in the mirror. But once we've created our routines and rituals to snap into action, we then go to the second step, which is nap. Nowadays, more than the last 100 years, people are working more hours and more days, and potential burnout is just around the corner. But I'm sure over the last few years especially, you may have been pulling your hair out, just feeling overloaded with workplace stress. Who here thinks that stress is just a bad thing? What if I was to tell you that stress isn't a bad thing? In fact, stress is required for growth. But it's stress plus recovery is where the growth is. Now, many of you, I'm sure, go to the gym. You're fit, you're strong. But I want you to cast your mind all the way back to when you started. You first did that aerobics class. You went on the treadmill. You did squats, you did chin-ups, you did bench press. All of these exercises are stressing the muscles. They're stressing the bones. They're stressing the tendons, the ligaments, the joints. They're stressing everything out. And what happens the day after? You're walking around like you're broken. You're sore. You can't sit down properly. Because, as I said, you've stressed the system out. But then you rest for 2 days. And then you come back and you do it again. And then you rest, you do it again and again. And eventually you get bigger, you get faster, you get stronger. The muscles adapt. So you need to increase the stress. And you do this by lifting more weights, doing more reps, doing more sets, less recovery time, doing it faster, doing it slower, whatever it is, you just need to increase the stress. And your mind is a muscle. Now, who here wants me to share a technique that's been scientifically proven to help you retain more information and be more productive? I want to see the hands up. It's a technique called the Pomodoro technique. What you do is, where possible, you sit down. You're going to set a timer for 25, maybe 30 minutes to start off with. During this time, you have no phone calls, no emails, no distractions. You just single focus on the task at hand. Then when the alarm goes off, you get up, you move around, you get some water, you rehydrate, because actually the majority of us are chronically dehydrated. And then you go and you do it again and again. You work in that cyclic format. And like your muscles, once your brain gets used to it, you're going to increase it to 35, 40, up to 45 minutes. But I'd struggle to go 50, 55, because once you get to that high, it's close to 1 hour. 1 hour becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes 8. And then before you know it, you're working 12 to 16 hours without a break. And you're back to square one. And there's actually an effect called the Zingarnik effect. It doesn't matter if you don't understand what that is, but you've all been used to it. Soap operas use it beautifully. On a Friday afternoon, the car has gone off the edge of a cliff. You don't know who's in the car. You don't know if they're going to survive. You don't know how the story's going to go. So what they've done, they've opened up a loop and they leave it open. So that over the weekend, you're thinking about it. You're concentrating. You're going, what's happened? What's this? What's that? And then come Monday, they close that loop. And quite often, it's not what your mind thought. The exact same thing happens at work. Because how often have you gone home and gone, oh no, did I answer all the emails? Did I do that phone call? Did I do this? And the majority of things you can't fix until the next day, but you're worried about it. Because what has happened, your mind has opened this loop, but it hasn't closed it. It's like when you might be cooking something and you race off to the shops because you go, did I lock the door? Did I turn the gas off? Did I do all these things? And you can't worry about those things until you get back, but you do. Your mind is constantly worried about it. So a simple way to overcome this is just have a checkoff list. And every place, every position is going to have a different checkoff list. So it might be all important emails answered, yes. All phone calls done, yes. Have everything on the agenda been done? Yes. Everything set up for the next shift, everything set up for tomorrow, for this, yes. Lights, security, keys, wallet, phone, tick, and then you go off. That way you close your mind and it enables it to recover. And when I speak about the power of nap, I speak about things and people, it gets their mind boggled. Because I speak about things like rock climbing, fighting, boxing, martial arts, surfing, and extreme sports. Why would these be considered a nap when they're incredibly physically demanding activities? Because when I was doing research for this, I was surprised how many mathematicians and scientists are avid rock climbers. And how often, once they reach that summit, they have that they have that epiphany moment. Because times like this, such as rock climbing, such as fighting, surfing, and extreme sports, you're in the moment. You're on the rock face. You're not worried about what's going on at work. So you're here and now. So consciously, you're in this one place, but the subconscious is working away at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And that's the same with boxing, with surfing, with extreme sports. You're in the moment. And it gives you subconscious time to work out all these issues that you might have had at work out these problems and come up with some outstanding solutions. But you also need to have hobbies outside of work. And with that, a question that I come up with a lot is, who has a lunch break? Because I know at many places that I've spoken to, they see it as a badge of honor. I worked my way through lunch again. And I don't see that as something to be worthy of. I don't see it as a badge of honor. I see it that either you have poor time management or you've got too much on your plate and it's time to delegate. And by having a lunch break, I don't mean sitting at your computer typing away, having a high-fat, high-sugar donut, followed up by a swig of coffee. Or I don't mean sitting down, having a cigarette. I mean going out, getting the body moving, getting some fresh air, having some nutritious food, keeping up with the hydration. Because what you're doing there, you're fueling your body and mind so you don't hit that dreaded 3, 4 p.m. slump, which so many people do. And having spoken to many, many companies about this, I've had a few bosses come up to me and go, David, I love it, but I'm not too sure about this nap. I mean, I can't afford to have time off. And I go, you know what? It all comes down to choices. As a leader, you can either have intentional times off, whether it's just an afternoon, whether it's a weekend, whether it's a holiday, or you can have forced time off, whether it's due to stress, due to heart problems, ulcers, illness, because it's all going to catch up eventually. But that got me researching leaders that are avid nappers. And we have Sir Winston Churchill and we have JFK. Winston Churchill, even when they were getting bombed, would go and have a nap after a late lunch or an early dinner. And this worked on so many different levels because he'd actually get changed into his pajamas and he'd go and he'd have a sleep. This enabled his second and third in charge to step up. It gave his troops confidence that if the commander-in-chief is sleeping, things can't be that bad. Then what he'd do is he'd have a bath, put on a fresh suit and go again. So he'd get 2 days of work in one. Then JFK, immediately it started off because he had a bad back. But then what happened is he saw the improvement that he got as a result of the sleep. When other world leaders were starting to dip in their energy, he would still be energetic. He'd still have that charisma, that charm. He'd still have his wits about him. So it became a non-negotiable. So whether you've had a nap, whether it's a physical nap, you worked a Pomodoro technique, you've gone out for your lunch break, you then must snap back into action. Having snapped into action, we go to the third step, which is tap. Many people think of tapping as giving up and quitting. But I want you to reframe that as allowing you to step back, analyze the situation, realign, reconnect, and refocus at the task at hand. This time going about it with a different strategy to not get caught in that same position again. Many businesses see the importance of tapping and evolving. Equally as many do not. A couple of examples of companies that were world beaters: Nokia, Kodak, Blockbuster, and more recently, Toys R Us. These companies were world beaters, but they stopped tapping and evolving, and they've since gone by the wayside. The one company that's continuously tapping and evolving is the mighty M, McDonald's. Now, it's actually an idea that came from Melbourne in Australia. One of the executives realised that people were going to coffee shops more and more frequently, and that was a part of the business that they might have been losing. So they, of course, came up with McCafe. This paid off on so many different levels. Parents were coming in, they'd get a barista-made coffee and a cake. The kids were coming in and they'd have burgers. With the free Wi-Fi, comfy seating and barista-made coffee, people are actually having business meetings at McDonald's. If you had have said that back in the 90s, you would have been laughed out of there. But it's a fact, it's a thing that's going on. And they also realised that people are willing to pay more money and wait for longer if they got better quality burgers. So they came up with their signature series. This has since been superseded by Create Your Own. Here you get to choose what bun, how many meat patties, how many cheese slices, and all the different condiments to go along with it. So McDonald's is constantly tapping and evolving, keep on moving forward. They've also come up with the healthy food alternatives. They have wraps. They have fruit packs instead of chips. You can get water instead of soft drinks. They're constantly tapping and evolving to stay ahead of their competition. But that doesn't mean that they've never failed. Oh, they've failed. And they've failed on an epic scale. What they do is they fail fast, they fail forward. They tap and evolve. Like, has anyone here ever heard of McPizza? Because when you go to McDonald's for burgers. If you want a pizza, you go to Pizza Hut, you go to Domino's, you go to your local pizza joint, but you don't go to McDonald's. But they tried it, they failed fast, they failed forward, they tapped and evolved. Has anyone here ever heard of McHotdog? Again, they tried it. It was an epic fail. Hot dogs is so easy to do. You just put the Frankfurt in boiling water, you cut it open, you put in, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. There we go. They tried it. They failed fast. They failed forward. They tapped and evolved. Who here has ever heard of McSpaghetti? Now, I like it what it's got on the bottom line there, where McDonald's is not a spaghetti specialist. And they're not, because spaghetti isn't really a fast food. But again, they tried it, they failed fast, they failed forward, they tapped and evolved. In the early 2000s, they had a burger campaign. In Australia, they had a McOz. This had beetroot, tomato, lettuce, onions, all the good stuff on it. In Greece, they had a McGreek, which was a gyros. Can you imagine what they had in Africa? Yes, they had a McAfrica. And again, this was an epic fail. They failed fast, they failed forward, they tapped and evolved. And anytime you talk about evolution, you, of course, talk about Sir Charles Darwin. And he famously said, it's not the strongest nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change that survive. So especially with what we've been through the last 2 or 3 years, what have you done? Where have you pushed the boundaries? What innovations have you come up with? What can you jump on and be an early adapter on? And when do you know when it's time to get off at that peak? Because quite frankly, now is a time to try things. Now is a time to push the envelopes in whatever business you do. Because if you've never failed, you simply haven't pushed hard enough. But if you have failed, you can't hang your head in shame and hope the rest of the world is going to feel sorry for you. No, you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and snap back into action. Having snapped into action, we start going down the chain. We have clap. It's all about celebrating. We do this all the time in sports, but very rarely in business. We have a small win, small celebration. Big win, man, we're going to raise the roof. But let's have a look at my sport, rugby league in Australia. If I'm defending and I go up and I tackle the guy and he spills the ball, they high five, they hoot, they holler, putts on the bum, scruffs on the head. Well done, David. So I've had quite a small win for quite a big on-field celebration. But let's flip that around. So I'm running with the ball and I get hit and I spill it. Oh. My mates don't come up and lay the booty while I'm down. No, they pick me up, dust me off, still putts in the bum, scruffs on the head. Don't worry about it, David. Let's race together for this next set. So we've had a negative, and yet we still celebrate. Another sport that's brilliant at this is doubles tennis. Between each and every shot, they go and they have that little chat, that celebrate, especially if someone does a terrible shot. They go, don't worry about it, David. Make up for it next time. Because they realize if they blow up, you're going to tighten up and more than likely compound the error. But all too often in businesses, we let completed projects go by unannounced. Newly acquired contracts go by unrewarded. Excellent effort gone by unannounced. This is a perfect time to put those teams on the pedestal. Give them public recognition. Because what happens with those teams, they get excited by that public recognition. So they want to do even more. And it shows everyone around you do notice what's going on, that you are aware, that you do appreciate your team that's doing all this time and effort for you. And everyone else gets motivated because they want their little bit of the pie as well. So constantly celebrate because we know, research shows that people are willing to do more, put in more effort, stay for longer, do it for less money if they're there with people that they care about, they know, like, and trust, because they know that they're going to do it for them. Then once we've had that clap, we then go to the fifth and final step, which is recap, which is all about continuous, never-ending improvement in everything we do. Now, as a football coach, I can sit down on the sideline. I can take down notes, what worked, what didn't. But I don't see everything. So the coaches, we watch it a second time. We watch the video of it. And we all see things slightly different. So we write it down and we compile those sheets. We then watch it a third time, this time with the players. The players get a handout of the sheets on what we thought. But we're not on ground zero, so we need feedback. This opens lines of communications, not just top to bottom, but more importantly, bottom to top. Because that's what we need. We need feedback from the players. We need feedback from the people that are in there, that are in amongst it. And we're going to write it up on the board. But we must draw a line in the sand that we're never to throw anyone under the bus. If the fullback dropped the ball 3 or 4 times, he's well aware that he dropped the ball. The team is well aware. We as coaches are well aware. And that's where my job as a coach is to maybe show him how to catch it correctly. Maybe we have him playing in the wrong position. Maybe he's the world's best 5'8", and he's just playing in the wrong position. But as a coach, that's my job. But we also want problems. We need problems, but we also need solutions. Because if we're the same team in 6 months' time, that's a waste of 6 months. If I'm the same speaker in 6 months' time, that's a waste of 6 months. If you're the same business in 6 months, That's a waste of 6 months. So we want this continuous, never-ending improvement. So we write up on the whiteboard. So I'm like, okay, conditions were slippery. The referee called them offside, and there was no talk. Good, so now we've got some problems. We've got something to work on. Now we want to create buy-in and get feedback from the players. So conditions were slippery. Maybe we should train in joggers with a small slippery ball, making sure that we run straight lines. The referee called them offside. Okay, maybe we allow them to give away a penalty if it's going to stop an almost certain try. And the talk wasn't very good. Okay, so at training, we're going to do stuff to fatigue you out. Then get you doing an opposed session, making sure that you talk the entire time. Every team, every situation is going to have different issues and different ways to overcome these issues. But we need that buy-in. It's all about continuous, never-ending improvement. And then we go from there back to snap back into action. Once we've had that recap, we snap back into action. Whether it's for the next fight, the next game, or the next project. I want you to cast your mind all the way back to the start. I mentioned the most successful international sporting team in history. I want you to have a little think about who it might be. Because it's the All Blacks. And their ritual, of course, is the haka. And it actually goes beyond the haka to the culture that they've worked so hard to build. And that comes from their senior players. And most recently, their famous coach, their famous captain, Rich McCaw. Now, he believes in every position you come into, whether it's at work, whether it's a sport, whether it's school, whether it's a family, it has a certain value. And your team has a certain value. So if you raise the value of your position a little bit, the value of the team raises a little bit. But if you raise the value of your position and you help someone else raise the value of their position, the value of the team will go through the roof. So what can you do to raise the value of your position? What can you do to help someone else raise the value of their position for the value of the team to go through the roof? And beyond that, as I said, their ritual is the haka. So what we're going to do now is, I love a bit of participation. And I'm so sorry I couldn't be there, but I'm doing it all the way from Sydney, Australia, and I want to feel your power. What we're going to do, we're going to do something physical. We're going to do something verbal that's going to change us in a mental state. So in a little second, I want you to get up and we're going to move around. But before we do that, we're going to stand tall. You're either going to slap your thighs or slap your chest, then let it out. Oh my, yeah. Okay, everyone, on the count of three, I want you to stand up. 1, 2, 3. Everyone stand up. And let's just move around. We've been sitting around for a little while. Okay, stand tall. On the count of three, remember, either slap your thighs or slap your chest. 1, 2, 3. Ba, ah. Some of you did that well. Some of you did it okay. Some of you just didn't put any effort in at all. But we've come here today to raise the bar. We've come here today to raise the standards. I want us to try and raise the roof. We're going to do it one more time. One more time. That's all I ask of you. This time, I want to feel it from the ground. This time, I want to feel it from your bones. This time, I want to feel it all the way in Sydney, Australia. This time, I want to feel it surge through me. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, much, much better. Give everyone around you a high five. That was such a great effort. I got the chills here in Australia. And give everyone a round of applause because that's an excellent effort. And remember, I am Dave Lindsay, your Vitality expert. And let's keep the energy going for the rest of the show.
First, thanks.
Thank you so much, David, for your energetic and insightful speech. So if you want to rate David Linda's speech, you can go to the polling session and you can give the polling in the polling tab. Thank you so much. So here is a question from our audience: How to beat procrastination?
From my way of looking at things, it's really just you have to. There's times when you do have to do things that you don't really feel comfortable doing. Like
Can you
I
hear me?
done. Fun. Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
David. Can yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I can hear you.
So here is the question. So, how to beat a procrastination?
Yeah, from my side of things, sometimes you do have to do what you don't really enjoy doing. Like I don't always feel like going to the gym early in the morning, but I get up and I do it anyway because I know that the end result is so much better than being uncomfortable for a little amount of time. And I think that comes from a lot of my time in wrestling, in football, in sports. Sometimes you do have to take that first step. And quite often it's that first step is uncomfortable, but you know that the results are just going to be so much better as a result of taking that first step.
Okay. So yeah, we got the answer. I really apologize. So we due to some network issues, the video is not properly. So we will play your video in the lunch break time. Okay, if possible.
Yeah, go for gold. Because yeah, I just want everyone to know that I don't normally stop and start. I am a smooth mover like that. But I had a lot
Thank
of fun getting that ready for you guys anyway. And I hope that you did enjoy it. And feel free to get in contact with me anyway on
so.
LinkedIn through email. I'm happy for that.
So if you want to contact David Linase, you can follow him on social media, Facebook, Instagram, at the rate David Linase. Thank you so much for your beautiful presentation. Yes, we have enjoyed a lot. And thank you so much for being a speaker for this WIN conferences. Have a great day.
My absolute pleasure. And I hope everyone has a sensational day as well and keeps the energy going for everyone else.
Yes, thank you. So now we will have 20 minutes of coffee time. So coffee break. So just have a coffee and please be back within 20 minutes. Thank you so much and have a great day. And so we do have a lunch break at 12:30. Okay. Thank you.